Hello, friends. Lee Murphy back to review the chess tournament games I played this past weekend. I played a quad tournament. A quad tournament is a game where you get placed in four-person groups based on your ratings. And the four highest players are in the first quad, the second four highest players are in the second quad, etc. And so I played in quad one. I happened to be the fourth highest rated person of the quad, meaning I was the lowest rated in the quad. I'm about 1900 USCF, United States Chess Federation. Um, the highest rated was a master. He was about 2230. We had a 2130 and a 2080 or so. So I was the lowest rated by quite a bit. And that matters because, you know, hyper focusing on your rating is not super important, but it is helpful where losing games doesn't really hurt me that much. Winning games would be huge. So I am playing black in board one against national master Todd Bryant. Also happens to work for chess.com, I believe. So he opened up with d4. And personally, I think my black openings against d4 are some of my weaker openings, something I'm trying to work on. Just haven't put a lot of time into it. And so just looking to get some good games, frankly. Todd and I had played one blitz game before where he played e4 and I played d5. I actually won that blitz game. So maybe that is why he decided to play d4. I don't know. Played knight f6. He played bishop g5. This is the Trumpowski. And if I don't want to allow him to double my pawns here, I could play something like e6, d5, but I played g6 and for a structure like this, where I'd played a couple blitz games like this, where basically you try to get your pawn on f5, try to get rid of your light squared bishop, where your bishop will probably be bad. You castle. Yeah, I have double isolated pawn or double pawns, but I do have a dark squared bishop. He does not. And then so we play the game. Knight c3, developing a piece, attacking the center. I castle. He plays g3. I play d6. I think like playing like c6, d5 is something the engine wants me to do a lot, but I played d6, lets the bishop get out. He plays bishop 2. I develop the knight to c6. He plays e3. I play bishop d7, knight e2, rook e8, castles, and a6. The idea of a6 is I'm thinking that my opponent wants to play against my queen side of the board, the queen side of the board. And I'm thinking of ideas of like knight f4, knight d5, plus knight b5. And with your knights on d5 and b5, you harass my c pawns. You throw your pawns up the board. So a6, just trying to slow here. Also, maybe I have ideas of like rook b8, b5, expanding on the queen side, getting the rook off of the diagonal of the bishop. So it's kind of like a waiting move. Rook c1. Lining up with my c pawn again with ideas of like knight d5. If you get my knight to move, you get rid of this pawn. Those are ideas. I play rook b8. Not really sure if I want to go for b5 right away. It would open up this bishop. It would also open up the c file for the rook. So I wasn't really planning to do this, but I did want to get the rook off the file. And we're both kind of waiting right now. He plays knight d5. And I retort with bishop g4, which I think is a good move. The plan of knight d5, in my mind, it's pretty thematic to get your knight in the center and then improve your other knight to c3, where now you could even trade this knight and just have a powerful knight in the center of the chessboard where bishop g4, the whole idea is I pin the knight to the queen. And you don't ever want to play f3, breaking the pin, because then you weaken your e-pawn, which my rook is lined up for. And eventually, I want to get in moves like f5, which would put a lot of pawns on the light squares. And so I think I actually want to get rid of this bishop. Also, opposite colored bishop endgames tend to be a little bit more draws. A draw is a good result when I'm playing a master. So yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, wanted to mention that people have asked for more beginner content. Gonna be doing lots of different content on this channel, but today I'm reviewing the tournament games I did recently play it. So rookie one, defending the knight, allowing the queen to move, and I play knight e7. When you have less space on the chessboard, which white has more space due to his center pawns right now, he has more space on the queen side. He also has more space in the center of the board. Pawns create space. They also leave behind holes. But one idea when you have less space is try to trade the pieces. And I'm threatening to trade here or play c6 just to kick out this annoying knight. My opponent plays queen d2, and I take the opportunity to trade the bishop. He takes with the rook, and I play c6. And I had thought he would put his knight back to c3. Can't jump into b6 because of my queen. But he tried to trade, which kind of surprised me because it gets rid of a knight. He has more space. I take with the rook. I'm preparing to double on the e file. My rook does a defensive task too. Defends b7, freeing up this rook, which this rook is very passive right now. It's just doing a defensive task. Maybe I could play b5 in the future, but that would drop the c pawn. So yeah, rook e7, and I was pretty happy here. You know, this rook's a little misplaced. I don't really think he wants to get the e pawn rolling and allow this bishop to be a better piece. So I was feeling good here. Played b4, and clearly he's trying to crash in on my queen side of the board, push these pawns into me, break through, and win the game. And I don't want to just sit here and defend, you know? If you just sit here and defend, eventually he's going to find a breakthrough. I'm going to lose. So I got to find a way to get active. I start with f5 because I thought the turn before he could have maybe considered this, and now I can never really play here. But I play f5, cutting down on e4, plays a4, and I play queen e8. A dual resource move. One, it defends b5 an additional time. So now b5, I could just take, winning a pawn. And yeah, I have this weakness. I have this weakness, but I can lose one of these pawns and still be in the game. So it slows down b5. It also creates a rook and queen battery. And I have ideas of, you know, if this bishop were just to move, taking on f4, for example, would win a pawn. You can't take back because I win your rook. So queen e8, a dual purpose move. Also frees up the d8 square for this rook, maybe. He plays c5, and I originally had intended to play d5 against this, but now moves like b5 in the future seem annoying. And so I decided just to take here. And yes, I realize that he has all his play is hoping to he's hoping to play rook b1, rook b2, maybe even bring both these rooks up, get the queen on b1, and just eventually break through either by sacrificing on c6 or just doubling up on the b pawn. And with his pawns on c5, I can never get this b pawn rolling because of en passant. And so I knew here I needed to find a way to get something going. And so I throw caution to the wind and I play g5. You're storming me on the queen side of the board. I'm going to attack you on the king side of the board, make you think about it. g5 is clearly gearing up to play f4. My opponent plays rook e1, and I play rook d8, lining the rook up with the queen, trying to slow down the move d5. I think playing d5 is an idea with takes and getting c6 in. So just trying to improve the rook. I don't need the rook to defend this pawn right now. And I might want to play something like rook d7 and defend laterally. Defending horizontally or on the rank is preferred versus defending like on b8 because my rook would be more active here. And also it stops any ideas of bishop takes c6, takes, and the rook discovering my rook on b8. So it deals with that. My opponent plays rook b1, and I play f4. My plan loosely is to capture here and then to pile up on this weakness and maybe sacrifice on d4, take on f4. We're both low on time now. He takes. I take his d pawn supported by my bishop. He takes my queen, I take back, and he plays queen e3. And this reaches the key point in the game. I had about 13 minutes, and he had about 6 minutes. So I think I am better here. I just need to find how I want to proceed. So I'm pretty happy with how the opening went. Don't play D against D4 well recently. Um, reached at worst, it seems like it's a drawish game with us having opposite colored bishops. And the key moves to calculate here are several. Like number one, what happens if we take on C5? We just take the free pawn. Number two, what happens if we trade, take, they take us, we take, we got to calculate that line. Number three, what happens if we play a move like queen d7, where we say we're keeping the queens on, we're threatening this check still, we're going to win these weak pawns later. Our pawns aren't as weak. So what happens if we keep the queens on the board? And also, what happens if we're just kind of like cowardly and we're like, okay, we're just going to go back and sit here, and then I'm going to win this pawn later. So calculated for a while. I didn't think I could make queen takes c5 work, because in my head, what I calculated was queen takes c5, rook takes b7, rook d1 check, bishop f1, and then I was worried about queen e8 check, where you check my queen, and with the rook, you threaten f7. So something like queen takes c5, rook takes b7, rook d1, bishop f1, and then I guess I could always traded queens here. I also have a really good move here. But, like let's say I miss it and I play, I don't know, queen d5. The worry is queen e8 check, bishop blocks, and I guess queen d5 is not a good example. Let's say queen here, queen e8, bishop f8, and then the worry is queen takes check, and I get checkmated like this. Now, unfortunately, I calculated one move too shallow, meaning I wasn't deep enough in my calculation, because I calculated to bishop f1, and I was like, okay. But in the post-mortem, meaning going after the game later with my opponent, I myself noticed here, oh my God, queen c4 is just a crushing move where you cannot take, because you would be in check. The check now, bishop f8, my queen defends my f pawn. So I just, you can't threaten, you can't take here. I would just trade and be winning. And you can't, you cannot defend your queen, your bishop, because if you go here, I just take it and you're still pinned. So he said he thinks he would have just taken on b7. Computer thinks it's equal if you don't. I think he would have taken on b7 too, because it's like a good practical decision. You think you're blowing up my queen side here. You see bishop f1, you think you're fine. So unfortunately, I didn't see this queen c4. Like, not an inability to calculate, just not calculating deep enough, like really no excuse. Got to be better. The other move I spend a lot of time calculating is queen takes, queen takes, pawn takes, rook takes, pawn takes, and you cannot take with the e pawn, because then I play bishop d4 and win your c pawn. And so I figured you have to take with the g pawn, and now you got these pawns to deal with. I'm gonna try to get them eventually. I got this pawn to deal that I'm gonna get. Yeah, I'm gonna give up one of my pawns, but I thought with this outside pass pawn, I was at worst drawing, and I'm the one playing to win. So that's what I eventually went for. I don't think it's a great practical decision to trade queens. I'm up on time. I'm lower rated. My opponent would probably be like way more upset to draw the game than me. And yeah, like a queen d7, I was calculating queen b3 as a retort, where you defend check, you threaten here. But I don't know. I could have just taken there. So I go for this line. And now I play rook c4. He takes on c6. I take on c5. We've reached an endgame where, again, opposite colored bishops kind of draws to nature. Draw's not bad for me. I have this outside pass pawn. I'm going to try to be quick with it. These pawns I feel like are not as quick. But then he plays bishop f8, and I realized things were getting a little tricky here. Perhaps I could have played f6, not a move you want to make. But the point of f6 is that, you can just kind of chill on f8. And he checks, you just take the bishop. And against, I also have ideas of like rerouting the bishop here. I went with f5 to slow down this pawn. Computer wants me to play rook f5 and defend like this. Not a move I really want to make, but I see why. I went with f5. He played bishop a4. And I played rook c3. I don't know how to turn those off on chess.com, but the idea I thought was I'm attacking here and I'm stopping this check, which of course I'm not stopping this check. The bishop is defended by the rook, so he defended the pawn. I hit his bishop, and now I played bishop b3. Played king f8. Can't go to h8 because then rook b8 hits, bishop f8, and I lose my rook with check. And then he comes back and defends his bishop. So I can king f8. And now the two moves to consider is king g8 is not usually a move I would consider, because moves like rook takes f5 checks me. But against the check, I can just take the bishop. And so I need to consider that. The other move to consider is king e8. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. And what's happening here? Like, is this a draw? Can I win this? Of course, I'm down a pawn, and he has an h-pawn. Computer says draw. I think this is losing in practice. So I went to g8. And then he plays bishop e6, which I noticed in the game he could do this. And I can't harass the bishop anymore. And so I'm going to have to be hit with this check. I chose bishop c3, kind of trying to do something on my own, defending the bishop from any discoveries to my king. And he takes the pawn. I go up. He goes to d5. I go to a5. So things have gone wrong from where they were, right? Like, okay, I still have this pawn, but I lost my f pawn. Now he has fast f and e pawns. And I also like threw caution to the wind when I brought my rook away from my king and over here. Because there's just a lot of pieces around my king, and my pieces are kind of not in the game. So he plays e4. He pushes his pawn. I play rook a8, clearing runway for my pawn to move. He plays e5, cutting my bishop out as well. a4, rook d7, king g6, king f3, a3. Computer thinks I'm drawing if I play rook f1, but I didn't. a3, rook a7. Again, it wants me to play rook f1. Play bishop b2. I can't push this pawn right now because of this. I did debate sacrificing this pawn, where if he takes with the rook, this is a position I can probably draw, where despite me having one pawn and him having three, I can just play like bishop d2, get this pawn, get this pawn. Again, we have opposite colored bishops. But if he goes for this, he can just take with the bishop. I can never double attack a light squared bishop with a dark squared bishop. And then he just plays something like rook a8 and bishop d5 defends the rook for the trade. So bishop b2, freeing up my rook, I thought. h4. And I blunder with rook h8. I'm very low on time, so is my opponent. But why it's a blunder is I cannot take this pawn on h5. I take with the rook. I get hit with bishop f7. And I lose the rook for the bishop. And if I take with the king, I get hit with rook takes h7, where the rook would fork my king to my rook. So, yeah, just kind of sloppy here. With rook h1, h5, king h6, and I saw this move in the game, bishop f5. Really, there's nothing to stop this checkmate with these pawns here. Wish I could sacrifice here. but then he just checkmates me. So yeah, unfortunate. The game continued. I did a bunch of worthless checks and then resigned because this is checkmate. So, there's lots of types of losses in chess. Honestly, I felt pretty good about this one because it was a dual-sided position. Like, this isn't a game where I got blown out of the opening. Um, like, going back here, I think I'm better. I calculated poorly. I did not, wasn't thinking clearly either. I was just kinda, like, looking at the same line and again and again. Of course, it's a nerve-wracking part of the game, so this was the key position. Don't like my decision to trade queens. It is kind of like bailing out for a draw, and you can't bail out for a draw and then not even hold a draw, like, me trading queens is kinda being like, "Hey, I'm playing for 2 results, draw or win, with my passed pawn." But then this rook a3 move is just my rook's out of the game, and now once he wins this pawn, I'm playing 2 draw. There's no more winning capable. So, I lost, bad game. Or good game, bad result. Round 2, I'm playing white here against Tony G. We'll call him Tony G. College age student, 21 and change. Again, I'm a 1900. C4, E5, G3, Bishop C5, Bishop G2, C6, Knight C3, Knight F6, Knight F3, and E4, attacking my knight. Knight G5 and D5. So, of course, I calculated all this. Like, I've played this opening a lot. I wasn't surprised by any of this. Normally, what you do here is you do something like D3, or you castle in D3, or you bring your knight back to H3. And I don't know why. Like, I've played this, or you trade and then play D3. And the whole point is you're just trying to say, hey, black, you've overextended your pawns. I'm going to challenge this pawn with like F3 and D3, get my pieces open. And yeah, you've kicked my knight, but it's safe. And I don't know why, but I played D4 because I think loosely what I was thinking is, I was thinking D3, H6, knight here, and then like takes, and I don't know, like D4 I don't like by me at all. And then I really don't like my decision. Like here, I would like to play F3 right away, but then takes, and yeah, I don't know. Things have gone wrong. Like playing D4 was wrong. Playing C5 is really wrong. Like I've never played, like it'd be one thing if I play positions like this a lot, but I don't. And so now I'm kind of in uncharted territory. I think I misplayed the opening a little bit. I go for F3 right away. He kicks my knight. He trades. I can't take with the bishop, which I originally intended to do because I lose my knight. So I take like this. We castle, and I play knight F4 here. And I like this pawn. It's annoying for him for now, but in the long run, it's a weakness. It has no pawns that can defend it, and yeah, I just think like his weaknesses are here. This is a weakness for mine, so pawns can't go backwards. Don't love this position for me. He plays B6, challenging me right away. Kind of wish I played B4 in the game, but I played knight D3, hoping that, obviously like this would be great for me where I have this knight on this outpost. Um, he played knight D7 and I played knight B4 with the idea of you take, I take, the queen moves, somewhere, and now I take, and I'm gonna win this pawn as well. So he saw that and put his knight back to B8, which is like it's good for me when he develops a knight and then puts his knight back. But I don't really know what my knight's doing here. I play bishop e3, just developing the bishop, knowing that I'm gonna have to deal with defending these pawns. He plays a5, kicking my knight. I take on b6 with the idea of if you take my knight, I take your bishop, and you can't take my knight because I take your queen. And here he played a move that surprised me, and he took on g3, which I have to take back because otherwise he takes with check. And his idea is I take back, and now he takes, and he's won a pawn for his troubles because I'm going to lose this pawn. So I play knight a4, plays knight d7. I have ideas of like b7, rook a7, knight c5 takes, but yeah, I'm going to lose that b6 pawn. My dark square bishop is also not good, so my king is a little weak. I did not play this well. I do have the bishop pair for my troubles, but I think of all the games I played, this one the worst. So I played knight c5, which if you trade, now I have at least a annoying b pawn. But of course he didn't trade. He took with the queen. I play queen b3 because I need to defend this a pawn. He's going to double and attack it. Um, he plays rook e8. I play rook e1. I do not want to play bishop f2 here, or rook here is going to be mega annoying. The bishop coming. So rook e1, rook e7, bishop f2, takes, trades, and queen a5 threatening here. So yeah, like I want him to take, and then I take a trade where, yes, I'm still down a pawn, but I have bishops, positions all sorts of open, and he has this weak pawn. So I play bishop d4. Maybe keen up to sacrifice here, maybe to trade there to defend my b pawn as well. Where if he takes on a2, my bishop would be defending. He plays knight d7, and I play rook c1 to defend my c pawn. Not a move I want to be making. My rook is passive there. He plays knight f8. I go back to f2. He goes knight e6. And like I don't really have any moves to make progress, like okay, I can be insane and play things like g4, but now I'm opening up all these dark squares for the knight to come get me. So I don't really have anything better to do than just to like shuffle pieces. Bishop f1 stops here. I'm kind of waiting for him to trade queens on his term. So yeah, did not play this game well. He plays knight g5, and I have to go back to g2. What he's threatening here is queen takes, and then knight takes check, where I'd lose my f pawn. So I need to go back. He goes back to e6. I go back to f1. Now he finally trades queens. I can keep this queen, which I don't want to trade pieces down, but then I just lose this pawn for free. I don't win this pawn. I'm going to lose this pawn. I can't defend it. So I have to trade pretty much. And then I play rook a1, a sad move. He plays b3. You cannot take that, or you lose your rook. And so I play a3. And then now he plays d4. And I play rook c1. Defending here because I can no longer see this pawn. And then he plays bishop c2. And like I know I'm losing here. I'm just trying to complicate things. So I play rook e1, takes my pawn. I check him. He moves. And I come to d8. So like this pawn is fast. Boom, boom, boom. So I need to slow this pawn. He's defending it for now. Maybe I had time to come for the c pawn. He goes to e6. I go to d6, hitting here. He pushes c5. And now I play bishop h3, which the computer hates, but I thought was clever because if d3, now I hit him with bishop f5 check, and I would win this pawn. And if I win this pawn, now I can maybe hold. Because if I can get this bishop to c6, I can hold this position where the bishop can never be dislodged. And yeah, I have these pawns, but I can just kind of chill out. So he also like only had like a minute at this point, and I had 3 minutes, so I had more time. But yeah, we kind of like shuffle for a second. He goes g5, I go back to g2, and now he plays bishop d3, and I play rook c6. Notation goes awry at this point. I'm low on time, so is he. So I play rook c6. He plays rook c4. I don't know exactly how it finished, but it was like this, where the problem with this position is I can't trade where he just checks me. Like if I trade, he attacks my rook, I move my rook, and then he hits me with check, and I lose my bishop. And so I also can't ignore the knight. Like if I just move my rook, he checks me and I lose here, or I lose here. So I have back rank weaknesses here. Um, the only reason I played f4, because I did see this move, is I was just kind of hoping he would go back here. Like I'm losing. I don't know. I need to try to complicate it. Like that would have been a dream. But it roughly went bishop e1, rook c1, take. No, that's not how it went. It went like here, here. I don't know. Something like this. I resigned soon after. So don't think I played the opening well. And then kudos to my opponent. Played well to close me out. Yeah, I was just kind of like dead in the water after around here. It's kind of hard to defend. Computer thinks it's equal, but I'm not a computer. Don't love how I played this, specifically because I'm playing positions I'm not that familiar with. So 0-2 on the day, lost both my games. Again, I was still riding the high of nearly winning round 1, so wasn't too disappointed about it. But round 3 against this is actually Lubo G, who's the brother of Anthony. Like in my club, they're usually the two strongest players. Although Anthony's in college, so. And again, I'm playing with the black pieces. I've fooled around with what I play against d4, which I think is my weakest part of my chess. And I've been playing knight f6 recently. He plays bishop f4. This is kind of like the London system. G6, knight f3, bishop g7, knight d2, castles, e4, d6. This is all normal stuff, getting our pieces out, controlling the center. C3, and I played c5. I didn't really know if it was correct, but I'm pretty sure against these structures, I'm supposed to try to undermine here. Bishop c4, which the computer thinks is a mistake. It really wanted me to play d5. Let's say takes, or d5, takes, takes. It really wanted me to do this, which makes sense. My knight attacks the bishop. You don't want to trade this bishop. So like bishop here, and looking at the position, like looks like a dream. I get my pieces in the game. My rook, I'm the only one with the center pawn, the e pawn. This would have been good for me. So something to keep in mind for the future. I played knight c6, not really considering moving my d pawn a second time. So lesson there for me. He plays d5, shutting me in. And I hit him with knight h5. Don't really like moves to consider here. Knight a5, knight b8, and knight h5. Knight a5, the bishop probably just drops back to e2 or d3. And then I have to play like b6 to get the knight back in the game. Can't go here. So I didn't really want to do that. Don't really like, I think knight b8, knight d7 is probably fine. It's kind of slow though. So I decided knight h5 with the idea of you take me, I take you take me, you develop my bishop for me. I'm also threatening you with check here. So here he goes back, and now I'm able to jump my knight into the center on e5, and he trades. I take with the bishop, and he plays g4, and things are already tricky here. I want to play knight f4, threatening this check, but just loses to queen f3. And where you're double attacking my knight, and then I have to play like g5, and then I would, like this is bad for my king, and I was worried about just like taking, like take, the queen coming in, the bishop coming in like this. I was also, or no, what I was worried about was h4, h6 takes here, uh, where I'm just getting checkmated here. So I need to find how to defend this. The other concern is against g4. I can't play knight, or I didn't think I could play knight f6 right away because I run into f4 and my bishop is trapped. Um, so lots to think about here. Knight g7. Knight g7 also runs into f4, bishop f6, g5. No, 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 no. That would trap my bishop. So, I did play knight f6 because now if you do play f4, I have a tactical defense where I can take on g4 and threaten your bishop. And if you take mine, I take yours, and I'm forking your bishop to trade. So I played knight f6. He played bishop e2 to defend his g-pawn. And I played knight e8 because I want to get this f-pawn rolling, even though it opens up my king. He plays h4, just trying to push in my king side. My pieces are kind of wonky. And I play f5, which the computer hates. Takes, rook g1, king h8. And yeah, my king is weak, but I kind of figured it could hang out here. Bishop h6. Computer wants me to trade bishops, but I decided to trade rooks, figuring, hey, without a rook, you can't really checkmate me. I take with the king. Plays knight f3. Now I offer a trade of bishops. He takes. I take with the knight. Takes on f5, and I take with the bishop. I don't think taking on f5 was good by him. At this point, I was feeling back in the game. Like, I didn't see how he was going to mate me anymore. I'm not really worried about this pawn coming in. I think I can just, like, cowered up here, play queen f6, play rook f8, get all my pieces by my king, and be like, how are you beating me? You have this weakness. I have this weakness. Drawish, you know? So he played queen d2, clearly with the idea to castle. And I don't like my decision to play a6 here. It's kind of a waiting move. Ooh, sorry, guys. I think I should have just played queen a5. And like the two things, like we're both low on time here. We're both sub 5 minutes. The big things to decide are, am I going to throw caution to the wind and remove pieces from defending my king, where clearly my king is weak? Like, get the rook over here, get the knight in, get the queen in. Like, am I going to say, you know what? I'm trying to checkmate you. The whole idea of queen a5 is if you castle, I take here, and I'm threatening checkmate with my bishop. Ooh, if I can draw lines. So, queen a5, you can't castle. You have to play like a3. Now I just rip b5 in. You castle. I rip b4 in. Like, I'm just trying to get lines open and get it going. But I played a6 castle with the same idea. And again, like, I need to decide, like, am I okay losing this game? Which clearly I am. Like, I'm generally okay risking a loss if it means I could maybe win. Again, I think if I wanted to, I could just defend myself and then ask him how he's going to break through. Maybe I should have done that. I don't know. Queen a5. He plays a3, b5, bishop d3. And now, like, now I make the worst decision. Again, we're both low on time. I think you just need to play b4 here, whether it's a good move or not, because we're both low on time and you can make a mistake. The idea being bishop takes, against bishop takes h7, just king h8. But bishop takes, and I don't know what's going on here. Like, I think you play, I don't know. You have ideas of bishop e6. You have ideas of queen g4, rook g1. You have ideas of just rook g1. You have ideas of taking. So I made the worst decision, though, which is I traded. And computer still thinks this is a draw if I play queen a4. But what I really don't like about this is now I play b4. And now knight g5 is just unstoppable, you know? Nothing to do. h6, queen h7, king here, check, mate. No, no. Um, Same thing, king f8. He just takes, threatening checkmate. And so I played like a move here and then resigned. Um, so yeah, bummer, like out of nowhere. First off, really, really, really bad practical decision to trade bishops here. Um, I think even bishop g4 is an idea, but it runs into probably queen g5 or queen h6 is what I meant. Um, so like I think I played the opening not great. I defended well. I was resilient to get back in the game. And then I don't know how I feel about my decision to go for the win here. I think it was okay. Like this was the last game going on, so everyone was like, "Oh, you just got to play B4 there." I think I agree with them. I ended up losing all my games today, and that's just like kind of how chess goes. Like if we look at my like looking at my games objectively, I was really happy how I played my first game. I was not really happy how I played my second game, particularly just like the opening. And then my third game, I think I'm okay with. Like I didn't play the opening perfectly, but I am learning that opening. I defended well, happy with that, and then just fell apart. This is my rating graph if you're curious. Um I probably do a separate video about this, but yeah, like here I was after high school, about 1300 USCF. Um, didn't play in college at all. Returned to chess, climbed up to 1900 in like 2019. Then COVID occurred. Toiled around, hit 1900 again recently. Inactive, inactive, inactive. Up and down, up and down, up and down. 1900 again. I personally think I'm underrated by quite a bit. Like, also being honest, I'm not working hard on my chess. I've not been doing tactics myself. I've not been doing the training I need to do to be a better chess player. That's something I think I want to do is start playing, just like working on my chess 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. That's really all it takes. I play a lot of games, so I'm doing that part. Like I played a lot of games recently, um, which is good. Like you're gonna see benefit from that, but I would definitely be seeing more benefit if I played more. So you can see my rating hit like up and down affairs. Um, I was really climbing before COVID hit, and I really thought it was going to be 2000 soon. My goal is to get to 2000 USCF. That's like my soft goal. I'm about 150 points away. Um, and I think I'm underrated. Like I played a master to a draw pretty much and then lost. And then I played a FIDE master the week before to another draw and lost. So I don't know. So, like, can't make excuses forever. You gotta just kind of buckle down and close the games. I have definitely played a lot of games well in the middle game, and then thrown it away in the end game, which is just something I need to fix. Being frank, so happy to review these games. Gonna look at my tournament games, whether I win or lose. And if you're looking for more beginner content, gonna have that. Um, Please do make sure you like and subscribe to support the channel. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Got big plans here, so appreciate each and every one of you. Chess is never linear. It's never just a line going up or a line going down. There's valleys and peaks, and so I'm gonna have a breakthrough. Yes, I need to actually start doing some active work, such as like tactics or less, or like practicing my end games. But that being said, I'm playing fighting chess. I'm pretty happy. I feel like a breakthrough will happen sooner or later here. So, peace out. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.